Stay tuned for the latest in high-tech tackle and game-changing lures for your four-season fishing success. This is your Angling Connection, the pro's choice.
Hi, I'm Mike Pahanik with the Pro's Choice, your Angling Connection. We're over at the St. Croix Rods booth again, and with Ryan Teach.
Ryan Teach, yep.
Ryan, we've got we're talking about rods specific to technique, specific to certain species in some cases. In this case, we've got just geared to kayak fishing, the fastest growing of the outdoor segment sports right now.
You got it. The Mojo YAK rod busted onto the scenes in 2018 with our iCast win. It's 6 spinning models, 2 casting models. And what you're going to notice first off is the wind grips, and then also the shorter handle length. It's meant to get the handle out of your lap. The other thing I have to mention with this rod is this is Mojo Bass technology. So what you see here is SC3 carbon fiber on IPC mandrel technology that St. Croix is actually known for. So what it is, it's a very smooth transition between length and power in the rod, and the rod is going to act really smooth under load. It's also going to be very consistent and smooth when you're casting it. It's going to feel a lot like a Mojo Bass, just be very tailored towards the kayak angler.
Now, what are some of the features that are specific to kayaking? The length of the handle, I know, is one of them.
The length of the handle, and what we heard from our kayak anglers was we want wind grips because our hands are constantly wet. In the spring, they're cold. In the winter, our hands are cold. Sometimes we may be fishing with a glove. But the thing is that we want something that's tacky that we don't have to worry about, making an aggressive cast and shooting the rod out the side of the kayak. So what we brought forth was the wind grip with this. It just made sense.
And the length of that handle. Kayak anglers wearing that PFD wants to have that.
You got it. Sitting down in the kayak is where this handle is really going to excel. It's just a little bit shorter. It's very similar to our Avid X profile. Avid X does not have the wind grips, but it has a shorter handle profile. We find that kayak anglers with the PFD and then maybe having a tackle tray in your lap or having to balance a paddle in your lap as well, that real estate between the flotation device and the rod handle becomes pretty precious. So why not shorten the handle and just increase the angling experience so you're not having to worry about shoving it in your life jacket.
Now you have an array of rods in this series.
We do.
What's the number and how are they spread?
They're spread out in your popular lengths, powers, and actions. So what you're going to see is mostly the 6'6" and 7 foot. That's 6 casting models or 6 spinning models and 2 casting models. And it's going to be no different. They're going to perform no different than what our Mojo Bass does in those similar lengths, powers, and actions. So if you're used to our Mojo Bass and you're looking to transition into a kayak rod, it's an easy move because it's going to feel the same. You're not going to notice anything different by going to a shorter handle. You will notice a different touch with the wind grip compared to our cork in our Mojo Bass rods. But the fishing experience, the quality of the build, they're still going to be the same.
All right, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what we're looking at. We're going to take a closer look at some of those individual models along the way here.
So this is the 7.6 medium light extra fast, right, or the medium light fast, the 7.6 medium light fast. And what this is going to be is for your typical kayak bass angler rod, it's going to be a great shaky head rod, it's going to be a great Ned rod, wacky rig rod. It's going to be a rod that still retains its length so you can reach out and really touch somebody. You know, if you're hitting those days where you're throwing a Senko over top of cabbage, or you're throwing a Senko over top of a weed bed or a point, you're going to be able to have the distance with this rod while sitting, because the most of the distance is in the tip. The other one I want to show is the 7 foot spinning rod here as well. What you're going to see with this is, in difference, you're going to see a stiffer tip with a little more backbone in it. So what you see here is, if you want to do a Texas rig presentation specifically in the grass, if you need a little backbone to get the rig out of the grass and get it free, you'll see a backbone change. You'll also see, again, the same handle configuration, the same. If you look at these two rods next to each other, you're going to look at the same, very similar handle lengths. Okay, what you're going to see, the length in the rods is in the tips. So let's look at this 7.0 medium light fast. Now the rod that I would use this for is the flick shake, or the really soft finesse techniques. I am one that really likes to throw a small swim bait, especially when things get tough. Living in northern Wisconsin, we deal with a lot of really clear lakes. And when those lakes get pressured, a long cast with a small swim bait. You know, when I say small, I'm saying smaller than a 2.8 Kitech. I mean, we're getting really, really small. This is an excellent rod for that. You know, when things get tough, wacky rigging a 4-inch Senko, or even downsizing more into like a split shot rig. The medium light fast excels at working with those smaller weights. Okay, and again, handle lengths are still staying the same. So 7-foot medium fast. Again, it's personal preference. This is probably going to be my Texas rig rod, or again, working a lighter shaky head. I've got onto this technique in the last few years of working shaky heads in kind of unconventional ways. I think it's because of our relationship with Jesse Wiggins, with our 7.3 power shake rod on Mojo Bass. I've started to think about shaky heads even differently. Instead of thinking of running a shaky head on smaller profiles, I think about shaky heading a baby D-bomb on a Warlock head. Exactly, not necessarily just in gravel, but also bringing into the grass or fishing around docks. 7.0 medium heavy fast could be used for the same technique. Again, it just depends on what your weights and what your heads are and what you're fishing. Okay, let's grab one that's polar opposite. Let's go to the 7.6. A 7.6 medium heavy fast. So we just tested on the 7.6 medium light extra fast. Now we're looking at the 7.6 medium heavy fast. Now this is going to be, again, more shaky heads, more of a deeper water presentation. Again, I cannot stress more is to think out of the box with shaky heads these days, and look more towards using larger baits on your shaky heads. The bullworm from Strike King, larger worms in general. Going to shaky head a full-size D-bomb. But when you need the rod, this is the bad boy of the bunch when it comes to spinning rods in the Yak lineup, because it's a stiff rod, it's got length, it's got the power, and it's got the action. I know there are people that are more comfortable fishing a spinning rod with frogs, and this is the rod they're fishing with frogs. Okay. Now we'll bump over to the casting platform. So the two casting platforms are 7-foot medium fast and 7.6 medium heavy fast. Now myself, I'm going to go with the 7.6 medium heavy fast when it comes to fishing a frog, especially out of a kayak, because I'm getting leverage, I'm getting the opportunity to get the fish up on top of the grass. Okay, I'm also going to throw a swim jig on this and more open water characteristics. So, but if I'm going to throw a swim jig close to shore, I'm going to go down to the 7-footer. I just find that the 7-footer allows me to be more accurate with my cast. The 7-foot medium fast is just kind of a do-all. I call this kind of the hammer in your tool belt, because it seems like every contractor always has a hammer in his tool belt. The 7-foot medium fast is kind of the rod you keep around for all purposes.
That's right. And very important to a kayak angler too, to have that rod, that flexibility.
This is the flexibility rod right here. If I was going to buy one rod in this entire series, it'd be the 7-foot medium fast, because you can do so much with it. Especially being limited on space or limited in the ability to store rods behind you. This rod is going to do the most. It's the best bang for your buck in the lineup.
Well, Ryan, thanks for going through that line for us.
Absolutely.
Check out that St. Croix line, the Mojo Yak series. Another exciting series from St. Croix. You guys keep churning them out year after year.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. It's because of the angler feedback that we get. We're a very angler-centric company that listens to our anglers, and we invite anybody that's got suggestions to please reach out to us. We're always looking for new opportunities to further help people get the upper hand on the water.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thanks again, Ryan.
No problem. Thanks, Mike.